Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we're taking a look at a new special collection that's coming for the Earthrise line. This is known as the Galactic Odyssey collection, and this here is the first set for that collection. It is of the Autobot clones, Fastlane, and Cloudbreaker. And of course, this is part of a special set that's going to be sold exclusively on Amazon. And it will consist of at least 5 different robot sets. I know there's at least going to be one set that is totally Micromasters. It'll feature 6 Micromasters, unlike the 10-pack we got with Siege at Target. There will be a 2-pack of Transformers featuring Punch and Counterpunch, along with Barricade. And I know one of the others will feature redecos of Airwave and Ironworks, combined together to form a rocket base. It will also have a couple sets of Micromasters to go with it. And at the moment, I can't seem to recall what the 5th and final set is, but most of them are currently not available at the time of this recording. I know at least the latter 2 of these sets that I mentioned, one of them is available. A couple of the others, both the Micromaster sets at least, will not be available until next year. At any rate, like the Decepticon clones we reviewed earlier this year, these are redos of their Generation 1 forms, which are standing behind them. So as you can see, they are slightly smaller. And like the set that came out earlier, the modern ones do not include any weapons. So, how much of an improvement are these guys over their originals? Let's take a look and find out. Okay, taking a look here at Fastlane for starters. At least if nothing else, the modern toy does get some more paint applications on him. So that does make him stand out a little bit more visually than the original toy did. Of course, while the original one also had guns, it also had a removable spoiler on the backside, whereas this one, it's all one solid piece. The original one was limited in articulation to only his arms, as basically all you could do was rotate the arms at the shoulders, or you could move them inwards, but that was more to transform him than anything else. Keep yourself up, Fastlane. Now, in the new one, he does have substantially more. If you raise the spoiler a bit, you will be able to rotate his head from left to right. He can't look up and down, unfortunately, due to the way his head is set up. You can rotate his arms at the shoulder all the way around. Yeah, this toy is pretty fresh, folks. He can also bend his arm at the elbow just slightly above 90 degrees, and as you saw, he also does have a swivel at his bicep, so he has G.I. Joe battle grip. You can spread his legs apart to do a full splits. He can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees, and lo and behold, he can also bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. He apparently also can shift his ankle, but that is more for transforming him than for anything else. Now, of course, in the Generation 1 continuity, Fastlane functioned as a warrior. And he, being the second born out of the two clones, he tends to act like the impulsive younger brother. Pretty much meaning he will do things as he sees fit and forget the consequences of his actions. We all know what that's like, don't we? Especially any of us who have had little brothers. But, at any rate, he's still a decent sort of bot who does try his best. And of course, as we can also take a look up close, we do have a symbol in the center to show the race car. That's his alternate mode. And the Autobot symbol is down closer to his hip. That's an homage to the dual rub signs from the Generation 1 toy. Now, of course, to transform Fastlane, what we have to do is fold his fists in at the side. Then we'll straighten his arms out, and then you will fold them onto his chest. As you can see, it'll bring his wheels out. We raise the spoiler at the top of his head. Use it to rotate his head around. And then you will fold it down so it goes over the top of the car body. Then we will connect his legs together, and you will fold down his feet. And now he has formed his dragster mode, which, when you compare it to his Generation 1 mode, it more or less looks the same, but at least this time it has visible front wheels. Fastlane instead was basically a modified trike, because he only had a third wheel that kept his legs together. Whereas the new Fastlane at least has 4 wheels. Unfortunately, since he looks like a Cybertronian dragster, the car mode still looks weird. But let's take a look at how well it rolls. Actually, it rolls pretty darn good on this table. I'm impressed. And then now here we have Cloudraker. And of course, he's got the same visual style as his twin brother. Or as I should say, his clone brother. They aren't exactly twins. But, again, it's a visual improvement. Although he is lacking some of the sticker detail that the original toy does have. But, once again, he will do better on articulation. The head can turn left and right. The design, unfortunately, keeps it from going up and down. Shoulder rotates all the way. He can bend at the elbow, swivel at the bicep. Yes, we're speeding this up since it's the same thing. Swing out into a splits, raise at the hip, and bend at the knee. So, pretty much it's the exact same as his clone brother, as you would expect. And it sure beats the arm articulation of the original toy. Now, of course, back in the days of the G1 toy, Cloudraker was a Sky Warrior. Or more specifically, a Sky Fighter. Would probably be the better term. in the sense that he was basically somebody that they could use to fight in the skies. Something the Autobots always seem to gravely need, since they always seem to have more ground-based robots than aerial robots. And while that was a good thing to have, Cloudraker, unfortunately, bordered on useless, as he's claustrophobic in the extreme. I mean it as in, he's afraid that the entire planet is too close to him. So it's always when it gets too much, he's trying to fly up as high as he can to try to escape some of this claustrophobia that he has. However, his alternate mode is not designed to achieve escape velocity. So he ends up more often than not crash landing back on the surface due to the fact that he could not get away. So it does make him somewhat more of a problem than a help for the Autobots. But at any rate, here's how we transform the new Cloudraker. The first thing we do is we rotate his head all the way around so that it puts a tail fin out in front. You'll then raise his arms into an I surrender pose, fold the fists in, and then you will fold the arms inward just exactly like that. Then next we will take his legs. You'll do a full splits with them. And then you will fold down the wings. The wings actually start on the opposite side of the leg, so you'll have to unlatch it and then fold it down and fold them all the way out exactly like that. Then, of course, when they're done like that, you can fold his feet in. Of course, you'll have to rotate things. To rotate him some ways, you got to rotate the hip a bit so it'll allow. Something's not right here. Hold on a second. Okay, we figured out what was going wrong here. The legs also, at this point, have to shift outward at the hip. And then you fold it around to the side. There's a post sticking out in the shoulder, from the shoulder area, and it should connect to a little slot on the side of the leg. So you basically only need that about halfway out, and then shift the leg and plug in. Plug it in, plug it in. There we go. And then finally, you can bring the cockpit out from under his back and connect it in the gap between his legs. And of course, for smooth landings, there is a retractable ski underneath. And there he is in his jet mode. And that, I gotta say, does look somewhat better than the original did. It isn't a really great improvement, but visually it does look a little bit better than how the original one turned out. And of course, once you got this one, has the swoosh. Actually, he doesn't swoosh too bad. He's actually pretty good at that. Plus, of course, there feels like there's a little more to hold on to with him than what the original one had. Now, of course, before we conclude the video, and I show you some other bonus things that come with these toys, I want to point out that I know some of you that may have been eagle-eyed viewers will probably notice that on the original toys, when I had them in their alt modes, I still had their hands visible. Well, if you hadn't seen the reviews that I've done on the original versions of the clones, and they are here on YouTube, so please do check them out, the hands on the Generation 1 toys were not designed properly. They don't have anything for you to grip them with when you shift the toys into their alt modes. When I first bought Pounce and Wingspan, I had to practically take their arms apart to get the fists back out. After doing that once, it was never again. I will not fold their fists in, just due to the fact that they will get stuck and you can't get them out because there's nothing to grip. So, just a fair warning. Thankfully on these, there's some more excessive plastic on their fists that you can use to get their hands out. Now, of course, I want to show you their box. Let's move these guys out of the way. I want you to see the box. Partially due to the fact the box is a little bit different if you have been buying some of the Generation Selects toys from Hasbro or any of the other special exclusives. As you'll notice, we got a different insignia here instead of the spray-painted Autobot insignia, so that's a nice change. But the thing that I found the most exciting was on the inside of the box. Take a look right here, folks. This looks to be a replica of the map that we are getting with the toys. I'm not entirely sure how accurate it is, because as of the filming of this, I've yet to put my map together to see how it will look. And I do promise you, viewers, when I do have all the Earthrise toys, and I know I've got all the pieces, I will figure it out, and I will show it to you here on camera. I don't know how we're going to make sure that if you missed any of the pieces, or if you lost any of them, how we can help you with that. I'm working on it. I've got a few ideas going. But I wanted you to see this. As you can see, there are 5 planets highlighted in particular. They got Micron over here, Dominus, Botropolis, Biosphera, and Paradron. These all coordinate with each of the toys, as each one of them will come with a card featuring the planet. The card will be laying here in the bottom tray, which I have removed. And we have a card here for Biosphera. It gives us a decent looking little picture of the planet. Of course, you turn it around and hold it right side up, and you have information about the planet done in 5 different languages. The top one, of course, being English, so we can give you some ideas as to what it says. It indicates that Biosphera is a beast planet. The terrain is lush jungle covered in dense wilderness and vast oceans. It is located in Sector Outer Rim 2. The coordinates are Zone 3, District 4444, Aspect 5. Known hazards are harsh and scorching sun, torrential downpours, volcanoes, and rival beast tribes. The primary life forms are beast mode bots, so this may be trying to set up where the Beast Wars Transformers are originally stationed. as the upcoming Kingdom series that's due next year will have Beast Wars and Generation 1 toys. The resources, it states that Energon has been detected on the planet. Key data states that early Cybertronian colonists adapted to jungle terrain by taking on beast alt modes. Their descendants distrust those with vehicle alt modes. So that could indicate that the Maximals and the Predacons will probably take issue with the Autobots and the Decepticons. So that might make for some interesting drama come the Kingdom series. But of course most of that drama will be on the Netflix cartoon and whatever our own weird imaginations can come up with. Now we get down to my thoughts on the clones. What do I think of them? Well, I always found the clones to be a strange choice to bring back. Because after all, the original toys, their gimmick was the fact that the robots looked alike. And unfortunately, their alternate modes suffered greatly due to that process. However, as I had stated on the Earthrise Decepticon clones, they were improved a bit. They weren't perfect, but at least their alternate modes didn't look as stupid as the original ones did. They were substantially better. Is that true for the Autobot ones? Absolutely. While still not perfect in the sense that they're being made to look more like Cybertronian vehicles instead of real Earth vehicles, they still do look a little wonky, but at least they look a little bit better. The lack of descriptions for the characters leaves a little bit to the imagination, but in some ways that's probably a better thing for these guys. Because I never really liked the idea of Cloudraker being so claustrophobic he can't stand being on the surface of a planet. It gets to the point that he obviously needs some major psychiatric help, or he needs discharged from the Autobot army, because how useful is that? Especially if every free moment he has, he's going to be trying to blast off for space, and his body's not built for that. That's kind of a clear definition of somebody that's bordering on insanity. So the lack of anything on them now probably is a better thing. The robots certainly do look better. They don't need stickers to complement them as much as their original ones did. And the extra paint apps that are on these guys do help with their looks. Their vehicle modes are nice improvements. I think the instructions should have been a little clearer on Cloudraker where the legs come apart, but they were trying to keep it short. And that's not always a good thing. But I do gotta say, I do love the packaging that they came in. The planetary card is a nice touch, because it does allow people to get familiar with these planets, especially if you haven't been keeping up with the Transformer lore. Because until now, I had never heard of Biosphera. So that was a nice inclusion on there, and I kind of wish they had done that with all the Earthrise toys. It would have been nice to get some idea as to what's the significance of many of these planets in the lore of the Transformers. I mean, some I was able to figure out from being a G1 fan, but not all of you are. You poor souls. But some of you may know of some of them from the different comic books that you may have read, or if they've been brought up in the modern series. But at any rate, this was a nice inclusion, and certainly, if you can spare the funds to get this set, I would say go for it. These are pretty much worth your money for it. At any rate, that concludes my review of the Autobot clones. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and join our ranks. Make sure you ring that bell, because I post videos mainly on Fridays, but I do get some irregular schedules going on at some points. I also ask that you share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. That's what helps this channel grow. And also share your thoughts about the clones in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.